Hi everyone, it's Tina Olivero here from Guardians of Recovery. What if I told you that the very system that we've been told is helping people in addiction is actually the same system that's keeping people in addiction? That what we call harm reduction has quietly, almost invisibly, morphed into a philosophy, a culture, and yes, an indoctrination, one that teaches society to accept addiction as permanent and death is often inevitable. Think about that for a second. Harm reduction was initially introduced decades ago with one clear purpose. It was to reduce the spread of HIV among intravenous drug users. Clean needles, basic safety, that was the premise. Sounds great. But over the years, it crept in and it expanded and it mutated into supervised drug injection sites, government-funded crack pipes, meth pipes, so-called safe supply pharmaceutical grade narcotics like hydromorphone. And now, today, it's turned into $1 billion low barrier shelter system, better described as open air drug dens, where there's no requirements for recovery, no pathway out, no accountability for recovery, and no oversight. This is not care. This is containment. Because here's the truth. Harm reduction without on-demand recovery to help someone is not compassion. It's cruelty. It's like building a house on quicksand. You can put up all the walls. You can paint it bright colors. And you can even call it progressive. But without a foundation, it collapses. And it doesn't just collapse quietly. It drags everyone in the neighborhood and societies down with it. That's what we're doing with people's lives right now in drug den shelters. We give them just enough to stay afloat, clean needles, crack pipes, a shelter, but without the foundation of recovery, they sink, and we're seeing it everywhere. Overdoses are skyrocketing every time. We don't see a progressive reduction in overdose numbers. We're seeing the opposite. Here in Newfoundland and Labrador, just in recent months, we have buried 2 14-year-olds and a 17-year-old killed by protonitazene, a synthetic opioid even stronger than fentanyl. It's not on the news. One experiment, one mistake, and kids are a goner like that. And across Canada, since 2016, we have 52,000 people who have died of overdoses, mostly young men, mostly our youth. Think about that. We are wiping out an entire generation of our kids. How did we allow Canada to be an illicit drug graveyard? That's the question you have to ask yourself. How did we allow this country's brain power, our future engineers, leaders, innovators, to be decimated not only by opioids, but by genetically engineered hyperpotent marijuana that has now been legalized as well? This isn't the weed of the 1970s. This is industrial strength, lab-designed cannabis that destroys the frontal cortex, the very part of the brain responsible for decision-making, focus, and self-control. Instead of protecting youth from it, we have legalized it, packaged it up, branded it, and sold it at government counters like it's the next best thing. And we now have 4 times more psychosis than we did prior to legalization. Think about that. Why are all these people going into psychosis? Why is this happening the way it is? It's because people's brains are being blown out, let's face it. And when you combine that with fentanyl, benzos, nitazene drugs, meth, what we have is nothing short of a chemical war on Canadian youth. And make no mistake, we are losing that war. This indoctrination process has consumed our country. So how did it become normal? We walk past people who are flaked out on the street and we call it progress. We watch open drug scenes take over our parks and our libraries and call it compassion. We let the privacy laws block parents from helping their own addicted children and call it rights. All of these things are built into the system. That, my friends, is indoctrination. That is the result of all of this. And it's being driven not by recovery experts, not by people who know how to build sobriety, but by activists, academics, and administrators funding $1 billion harm reduction and low barrier shelter industry. Because here's the ugly truth. If recovery were the standard, if detox and rehab on demand were available, if parents were put back into the circle of care, the entire empire would collapse. The money, the jobs, the government contracts, it would all disappear like that, with accountability and responsibility and transparency in the equation. So instead of recovery, we get endless harm reduction, endless containment, endless decline of our people dying one after another. Why aren't we standing up for this? This is bigger than COVID-19, way bigger than the loss of people in our wars. And now the collapse is spilling out into every single community. By looking away, we are actually doing massive, massive damage. The desperate withdrawal that comes from these lethal drugs causes desperate crime, and we see it now every day. That's why our streets no longer feel safe. So every neighborhood now has a trap house or a drug den shelter. Every community is touched by this. These trap houses are dangerous and people are doing crazy, crazy things. Our police are exhausted. Our healthcare system is buckling. Our first responders are overwhelmed, showing up at the same overdoses over and over again for people who don't get help. The province is on wheels here, circling the drain, while we're all told that this is acceptable and normal and we're the compassionate harm reduction people. But this is not normal. This is a collapse of our society and the death of our kids. So let's blow the whistle and call it what it is. Harm reduction without recovery is absolute cruelty. Low barrier shelters are not housing, they are warehousing of human suffering, people in desperate situations, lots of times with mental health issues. Safe supply is not safety, it's a death installment. Here's more drugs, here's more alcohol to cause more brain damage. That's insane. But there's another way. We're saying we have to stop this. We have to fight back. We can demand recovery over containment, treatment over harm reduction, safety over indoctrination, oversight for all of this. That's why we're asking you, people of our province of Newfoundland and Labrador, to stand for our kids. We're having a Safe and Sound rally on September 11th to keep our streets safe. Between 12 and 2 at the Confederation Building in St. John's is where we'll be rallying, and at your municipal building around your community across the province. So we have 12 major districts across the province right now where voices are coming together, people will be heard, and we're saying we want recovery first. Yeah, harm reduction is important as a bridge to recovery, but is not the solution to the crisis that we're currently living in. Because the future of our children, the safety of our streets, the survival of our province depends on this. It's time to say no to indoctrination. We get what we tolerate. It's time to say no to harm reduction without recovery. And it's time to say yes to life, to our kids, to hope, to freedom from addiction. We cannot submit to this. We must not give up on our kids. It's time for every single one of us to stand up, make your voices heard, make a poster, come to the rally, say what you need to say, speak to the media, do your part, help us create recovery homes, and let's turn the trajectory of our province around. We could be an example, like Alberta, of how it's done. They've reduced overdoses by 34% by being recovery first. That's what we want to do. So if people are giving you backlash in any way, shape, or form about recovery first models, just ask them, what's in it for you to keep it this way? Is it your job? Is it your contract? Is it like, why would you possibly say that walking past someone who's flaked out on the street who could be overdosing is okay? Don't be that person. How could, think about anyone who's running a drug den shelter, or a hotel for that matter, that is housing all these addicted people, making money while people are dying. That has to be the lowest of the low. It really does. Don't be that person. Don't be that organization. We are standing for something better. Every single solution has to add on recovery to their equation. If you're a low barrier shelter, you should have oversight and you should have recovery. If you are a harm reduction facility, you should have all roads leading to recovery. That's what we have to add on to the equation. That's my message for today. I'm Tina Olivero from Guardians of Recovery. We have 12 locations around the province that are standing for a better tomorrow for our kids, and I hope you join us. Over and out.